The assembly hall stretched wider than most cities. 900 species had gathered here, their representatives sitting in carefully designed chairs that matched their various body types. Some breathed methane, others required intense cold, and a few existed partially in dimensions humans couldn't fully perceive. But they all came together in this one place to decide the fate of the galaxy. Ambassador Jiwoo Park sat in the human section, her hands folded calmly on the smooth table before her. She had been doing this job for 3 years now, ever since Earth joined the Galactic Council. 3 long years of explaining human customs, defending human choices, and listening to other species talk about her people like they were children who needed guidance. Next to her, Captain Daewon Kim stood with his arms behind his back, his military uniform perfectly pressed. His face showed nothing, but Jiwoo had worked with him long enough to notice the slight tension in his jaw. He was angry. She was angry too, but she had learned to hide it better. At the center of the hall, High Arbiter Veln raised his 3 arms to call for silence. He was a Korlathi, a species that had been in the council for 10,000 years. His skin shimmered with colors that indicated he was pleased with himself. "We gather today to discuss the matter of human expansion," Veln announced. His voice translated instantly into 900 languages. "The council has reviewed the situation and reached a decision." Jiwoo felt her stomach tighten. They hadn't been invited to participate in this review. That was never a good sign. "The human species has been a member of this council for only 30 cycles," Veln continued. "In that brief time, they have established colonies on 17 worlds, claimed mining rights to 6 asteroid belts, and built military vessels at a rate that concerns many peaceful species." Jiwoo stood up. "High Arbiter, we followed all the proper procedures. Every colony was registered. Every mining claim was filed correctly. Our military expansion is well within the limits allowed for new member species." Veln's colors shifted to show mild irritation. "Please, Ambassador, let me finish." She sat down, her jaw tight. "The Council recognizes that humans have followed the technical requirements," Veln said. "However, we must consider the broader picture. Humanity comes from what you call a death world. Your planet has gravity that would crush most species. Your atmosphere is corrosive to many forms of life. Your oceans contain salt concentrations that would kill most galactic citizens within minutes." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the hall. Jiwoo had heard this speech before in different forms. Humans were too aggressive, too dangerous, too primitive. Never mind that they had ended their own wars. Never mind that they had never threatened another species. The simple fact that they came from a harsh world made everyone nervous. "Furthermore," Veln continued, "human military capabilities are concerning. Your reflexes are faster than most species. Your soldiers can survive injuries that would be fatal to others. Your ships are built with redundancies that suggest an expectation of violence." Captain Daewon finally spoke, his voice calm and professional. "With respect, High Arbiter, our ships are built to survive in deep space. Earth's asteroid belt taught us to design for impacts and system failures. It's not aggression. It's common sense. That is precisely the problem," Veln said, and now his colors showed something like pity. "You don't even realize how militaristic your thinking is. You assume danger everywhere. You prepare for conflict constantly. This is not the galactic way." Jiwoo stood again. "Then what do you propose?" "The Council has voted," Veln announced. "For the protection of humanity and the security of our peaceful galaxy, we are designating the Sol System's asteroid belt and 3 of your outer colonies as protected territories. They will be administered by Council oversight until humanity demonstrates sufficient maturity." The hall erupted in discussion. Jiwoo's translator struggled to keep up with 900 species talking at once. She heard approval from the older species, concern from a few newer members, and complete indifference from those too far away to care. "You're taking our territory," Jiwoo said, her voice cutting through the noise. "Without our consent. Without negotiation. You're just taking it." "We are protecting it," Veln corrected, "and protecting the galaxy from potential human aggression. This is for everyone's benefit to—" "Let me be very clear," Jiwoo said, her voice now loud enough to activate the hall's amplification system. "Earth will not accept this decision. We have violated no laws. We have threatened no one. You cannot simply vote away our sovereignty." Veln's colors shifted to show sadness mixed with determination. "Ambassador Park, please understand. This is not a punishment. We are trying to help you. In time, when humanity has learned to think more peacefully, these territories will be returned. How much time? Captain Day One asked. That depends entirely on humanity's progress, Veln said. Ji-woo felt Trade Minister Hyun Lee's hand on her arm. He had been silent until now, just watching and calculating. Ask about the fleet, he whispered. Is there more? Ji-woo demanded. Veln hesitated, which told her everything. The Council also requires that humanity reduce its military fleet by 40%. These ships will be integrated into the Galactic Peacekeeping Force, where they can serve the greater good under proper supervision. The hall went silent. Even the species who had voted for this seemed shocked by that addition. You want us to give you our warships, Daewon said slowly, while you occupy our territory. It's not occupation, Veln insisted. And yes, this will demonstrate humanity's commitment to peace. Ji-woo looked around the hall. 900 species and only a handful seemed uncomfortable with what was happening. The others either approved or didn't care enough to object. This was the reality of galactic politics. Humanity was too new, too small, too alien to most of these species. They were easy to vote against. She took a deep breath and spoke with perfect calm. High Arbiter Veln, members of the Council, hear me clearly. We came to this assembly in good faith. We asked for fair treatment. We negotiated in every dispute. We compromised when we could. We followed every rule you set before us. And we appreciate that, Veln said. I'm not finished, Ji-woo interrupted. We asked nicely. We negotiated. You chose this. Remember that in the months ahead. You chose this. Veln's colors showed confusion. Is that a threat, Ambassador? It's a statement of fact, Ji-woo said. This session is concluded as far as Earth is concerned. She gathered her documents, turned, and walked toward the exit. Captain Daewon and Trade Minister Hyun followed her. Behind them, the hall erupted in discussion again. Some species seemed alarmed by her words. Most dismissed them as the empty protests of a weak newcomer. In the corridor outside, Hyun spoke first. They really did it. They actually voted to steal from us. They think we're primitive, Daewon said quietly. They think we'll submit because we're outnumbered. Ji-woo stopped walking and looked at both men. Contact Earth, begin Protocol Starfall. That's the withdrawal protocol, Hyun said, his eyes widening. That's everyone. Every human in galactic space. Every single one, Ji-woo confirmed. We tried being part of their community. They decided we're too dangerous to trust but too weak to respect. So we'll show them what dangerous really looks like. And if they try to stop us? Daewon asked. Ji-woo smiled, but there was no warmth in it. Captain, please remind me. How long did we test those new drive systems before we reported their capabilities to the Council? Daewon's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. We reported the minimum required specifications, Ambassador, as regulations required. Good, Ji-woo said. Let's go home. We have a lot of work to do. Behind them, the Galactic Council continued its session, already moving on to other business. High Arbiter Veln felt satisfied with the day's work. He had protected the galaxy from potential danger. He had guided a young species toward peace. He had made a mistake that would echo across the stars for generations, but he wouldn't realize that until it was far too late. 3 months had passed since the Council's vote, and something strange was happening across the galaxy. At first, nobody noticed. Then everyone noticed at once. On the trade station above Keller Prime, a Vinthak merchant named Greth waited for his usual shipment of human-manufactured power cells. The delivery was already 2 weeks late, which had never happened before. Humans were annoyingly punctual. Greth checked his communications terminal again and found the same automated message he had been receiving for weeks. Earth Interstellar Trading Company regrets to inform you that we are suspending all external operations at this time. Thank you for your business. Greth tried calling his human contact, a friendly trader named Jae-sung Ro. The communication didn't even connect. The entire Earth network had gone silent. Across the station, similar conversations were happening. The human-run medical clinic had closed overnight. The human engineers who maintained the station's fusion reactors had departed on the last Earth transport. The humans who worked in the restaurants, shops, and service centers had all left within a 48-hour period. Nobody had seen them pack. Nobody had seen them say goodbye. They were just gone. Station Master Kelleth called an emergency meeting. Where are the humans? She demanded. Her security chief pulled up departure records. They all left legally, bought tickets on commercial transports or chartered private vessels. Every single human cleared customs properly and departed. All of them? In 2 days? Yes, station master. What about the medical clinic? They had patients in treatment, all transferred to other facilities first. All records properly filed. Everything was done correctly. Kelleth felt a creeping unease. Humans didn't do anything without a reason, and this level of coordination suggested something big was happening. Similar reports came in from across the galaxy. Human civilians were withdrawing from alien worlds by the thousands. Human cargo ships were returning to Earth space and not coming back out. Human diplomatic offices were closing, their staff politely declining to explain why. On Earth's moon, Luna, Admiral Sang-Hee Choi watched the display showing the position of every human vessel in known space. Green dots represented civilian ships. Blue dots were military. Every dot was moving toward human-controlled space. Status report, she ordered. 93% of civilian personnel have returned, her operations officer reported. The remaining 7% will be home within the week. All ships are on schedule, no incidents. Military assets, all fleets have pulled back to defensive positions around human colonies in the Sol system. We've seeded patrol routes in neutral space. Other species are already moving to fill the gap. Sang-Hee nodded. And the reaction? Confusion mostly. Some alien governments are demanding explanations. The Galactic Council has sent 14 requests for communication. High Arbiter Velen himself has requested a meeting with Ambassador Park. And our response? As ordered, Admiral. All requests are acknowledged and politely declined. Sang-Hee allowed herself a small smile. She had spent 30 years building relationships with alien species, training alongside their militaries, attending their ceremonies. She had been the friendly face of human military power, always careful to seem capable but not threatening. Now all that careful work was being undone, but for good reason. Let them wonder, she said. Fear grows in silence. On the trade world of Nexus 7, Dr. Yuna Kang supervised the last evacuation. She was a xenobiologist, one of the foremost experts on cross-species medicine. Her clinic had treated thousands of aliens, earning humanity enormous goodwill. Now she was closing the doors. Doctor, please, the Korlathi administrator begged. We need you. The plague on Sector 9 has 3 other research teams working on it, Yuna finished. You'll be fine. But you're the best. Your success rate with cross-species treatment is 40% higher than anyone else. Yuna looked at the administrator with tired eyes. You want to know why our success rate is so high? Because we actually care. We treat every patient like they matter, not like they're just another case file. That's the human difference. Then why are you leaving? Because your council decided we're too dangerous to be trusted, Yuna said simply. So we're removing the danger. You're welcome. She walked out, leaving the administrator standing in the empty clinic. Back on Luna, Admiral Sang-Hee received reports of the first cracks forming. A mining operation in the Kelter system had shut down because their equipment relied on human-manufactured components that were no longer being delivered. A medical facility on Praxis Station had been forced to close an entire wing because their diagnostic machines required human-made quantum processors. They're starting to realize the extent of the integration, her intelligence officer said. How bad is it? Sang-Hee asked. Bad. Our analysts estimate that approximately 37% of galactic infrastructure has some dependency on human technology or expertise. Medical systems, power generation, transportation, communications. We're woven into everything. Because we made ourselves useful, Sang-Hee said. Because we thought being valuable would make us respected. It did make us valuable, Admiral. Just not respected. Trade Minister Hyun Lee appeared on the screen from Earth. Admiral, I have the economic report you requested. It's worse than we thought for them. 17 major trade routes are already disrupted. Food prices are rising on 12 core worlds because human agricultural technology isn't available. The medical situation is becoming critical in the outer sectors. How long until they break? Sang-Hee asked. Some species are already sending envoys. The Council is trying to maintain unity, but the cracks are showing. I estimate 30 days until someone breaks ranks and tries to negotiate directly with Earth. Good. Let them come. Captain Daewon will handle it. Daewon Kim now held the title of Human Liaison Officer, though everyone knew it was just a polite way of saying he spoke for Earth when Earth chose to speak at all. He had set up a small office on a neutral station at the edge of human space. Any species that wanted to talk to humanity had to come to him. The first envoy arrived on the 32nd day. It was a minor ambassador from the Vryn Dominion, a mid-level power that relied heavily on human manufacturing. Liaison Kim, the Vryn said, her translator making her clicking sounds into words. My government wishes to understand this situation. Why have humans withdrawn? Daewon looked at her with calm, empty eyes. Your council voted to occupy our territory and dismantle our fleet. Did you expect us to continue business as usual? But that was a council decision. My government didn't vote for it. Your government didn't vote against it either, Daewon noted. You abstained, which means you were comfortable with the outcome as long as you didn't have to take responsibility for it. The Vryn shifted uncomfortably. We wish to continue our trade relationship. That's not possible at this time, but our manufacturing depends on your components. Our people need your medical technology. Then your people should have considered that before your government decided we were too dangerous to trust, but convenient enough to use. What do you want? The Vryn asked, frustration creeping into her voice. Daewon leaned back in his chair. We wanted to be treated with respect. We wanted to be left alone to build our civilization in peace. We wanted the same rights and protections every other species enjoys. Your council decided that was asking too much. So this is revenge? No, Daewon said quietly. This is a lesson. You wanted us supervised because you thought we were dangerous. So we're showing you what it looks like when we're not part of your community anymore. We're showing you the difference between humans who are trying to help and humans who are simply absent. The Vryn was silent for a long moment. What would it take to restore trade? You'd have to ask the council that. They're the ones who changed the terms of our relationship. After the envoy left, Daewon's assistant entered. Sir, we have 43 more meetings scheduled. Everyone wants to talk. Good, Daewon said. Let them talk. Let them beg. Let them realize what they had. On Luna, Admiral Sang-hee watched the tactical display. Human fleets were positioned at every border, not threatening anyone but clearly visible. Colonies were fortifying. New shipyards were operating at full capacity, building ships that incorporated technology the Council had never seen. They think we're going to attack, her operations officer said. No, Sang-hee corrected. They're hoping we'll attack. That would make us the bad guys. It would justify everything they did. So we won't give them that satisfaction. Then what do? We wait, we build. We show them that we don't need them nearly as much as they need us. And when they finally understand that, when they finally grasp what they've lost, then maybe we'll talk about what comes next. The galaxy was slowly waking up to a new reality. Humans weren't scattered anymore. They weren't vulnerable. They had pulled back into their own space, and from there they watched and waited. And the silence from Earth was more terrifying than any threat could have been. 6 months after humanity's withdrawal, the Vryn matriarch made a decision that would change everything. She was old, powerful, and had ruled her species for 300 years. She had watched humanity's retreat with interest, and now she saw opportunity. They are afraid, she told her war council. They pull back and hide because they know they cannot stand against real power. The council neutered them, and now they sulk in their corner of space like wounded animals. Her generals agreed. They had studied human military capabilities and found them wanting. Human ships were tough but slow by Vryn standards. Human weapons were powerful but lacked the elegance of Vryn plasma lance technology. And most importantly, humans were alone now. No allies. No support. The mining colony at Kepler 8 is barely defended, her intelligence officer reported. 300 humans, a handful of defensive satellites, and 1 small patrol ship. They have resources we need. Rare earth elements that our shipyards require. The matriarch made her decision. Take it. Show the galaxy that human posturing means nothing. Show the council that their decision was correct. These Deathworlders need to learn their place. She sent a fleet of 40 warships, more than enough to overwhelm a small mining colony. It was supposed to be a quick operation, over before anyone could respond. A demonstration of power that would remind humanity why they needed the Council's protection. Captain Taemin Seo received the alert while his patrol ship orbited Kepler 8. His vessel was small, designed for customs inspection and light patrol work. Against a Vryn battle fleet, it should have been hopelessly outmatched. Sir, sensors are picking up 40 contacts entering the system, his tactical officer reported. Vryn signatures. Battle formation. Sound general quarters, Taemin said calmly. Get me a line to the colony. On the surface, Colony Administrator Jun Park received the call. Captain, Vrin fleet incoming. Start evacuation protocols. Get everyone into the deep shelters. How long do we have? 2 hours, maybe 3. They're not trying to be subtle. Jun's face went pale. Can you hold them? Taemin smiled, and there was something cold in that expression. Oh, we're not going to hold them, Administrator. We're going to teach them why you don't attack humans anymore. Just get your people safe. The Vrin fleet commander opened communications when they were an hour out. Human vessel, you are ordered to stand down. We are claiming this colony for the Vrin Dominion. Surrender or be destroyed. Taemin's response was calm and professional. Vrin fleet, you are in violation of human territorial space. You have one opportunity to withdraw. If you continue your approach, we will consider it an act of war. The Vrin commander laughed. 1 small ship against 40. Your mathematics are poor, human. You're right, Taemin agreed. You should have brought more ships. The line went dead. What happened next would be studied in every military academy in the galaxy for generations. The Vrin fleet came in fast, confident in their numerical advantage. Taemin's patrol ship seemed to be retreating, falling back toward the colony. Then it stopped retreating and started moving in ways that Vrin sensors couldn't quite track. Human ships, they had learned, were limited by their own biology. Humans could only handle 7 or 8 gravities of acceleration before losing consciousness. This was a known fact, carefully documented by galactic scientists. What they didn't know was that humans had been lying about the capabilities of their inertial dampeners. What they also didn't know was that human pilots could handle 7 or 8 gravities without dampeners if they had to. Taemin's ship pulled maneuvers that generated forces exceeding 20 gravities. It came around the planet like a bullet, using gravity to slingshot at speeds that should have been impossible. The Vrin fleet tried to track it and failed. Their targeting computers couldn't keep up. The human ship fired missiles that split into dozens of smaller warheads, each one independently guided. It fired railguns that used no propellant, just magnetically accelerated metal traveling at significant fractions of light speed. And when it got close, it fired lasers that cut through Vrin shields like they weren't even there. But the real surprise was the colony itself. Those defensive satellites weren't just passive sensors. They were weapons platforms, and they had been waiting in silent mode for exactly this moment. When they activated, the Vrin fleet found itself in a crossfire between the patrol ship and 30 hidden weapon systems. The battle lasted 17 minutes. When it was over, 38 Vrin ships were either destroyed or disabled. 2 had managed to retreat, their hulls scarred and their systems failing. 0 human casualties. Taemin broadcast the aftermath on all frequencies, making sure every species in the galaxy could see it. The wreckage floating in space. The disabled Vrin ships being tractored away for study. And his message delivered in that same calm, professional tone. This is Captain Taemin Seo of the Human Defense Force. The Vrin Dominion attempted to seize human territory by force. This is the result. To any other species considering similar action, please understand something important. We have spent 3 years being nice. We followed your rules. We limited our weapons. We pretended our ships were slower than they are, weaker than they are, less capable than they are. We did this because we wanted peace. The Council decided that wasn't good enough, so this is us not being nice anymore. Choose your next actions very carefully. The message reached the Vrin homeworld first. The matriarch watched the footage 3 times, her blood running cold. 40 ships. 40 of her best warships commanded by experienced officers, equipped with weapons that had conquered a dozen systems. Gone in 17 minutes, how is this possible? She demanded. Her intelligence officer's hands shook as he brought up the data. Matriarch, we were wrong about everything. Human ships aren't slow. They've been limiting their acceleration to match galactic norms. Their weapons aren't simple kinetics. They've been holding back their most advanced technology. And their biology? What about their biology? They can survive forces that would kill any of us. Their pilots were pulling 20 gravities, 20. Our pilots black out at 4. And they did it while still thinking, still fighting, still making tactical decisions. The message reached the Galactic Council next. High Arbiter Veln watched it in his private chambers, and for the first time in his long life he felt genuine fear. He had thought humans were dangerous because they came from a harsh world. Now he understood that he had seen only the shadow of that danger, not the reality. 3 more species decided to test humanity's resolve over the next month. Each one thought they would be different. Each one thought they had studied the Vryn battle and found weaknesses. The Krell swarm sent stealth ships to raid a human cargo convoy. Wing leader Bora Nam and her fighter squadron hunted them down. Human pilots, it turned out, could fly for hours in high-G maneuvers that should have been impossible. The Krell ships were fast and agile, but human fighters moved like they were alive, pulling turns that violated every known principle of safe flight. Bora's after-action report was clinical and precise. 13 enemy contacts eliminated. 0 friendly losses. Enemy vessels appear to have been designed with safety considerations that limited their combat effectiveness. Recommend we stop assuming other species build war machines the way we do. The Thelian Compact tried to blockade a human trade route, thinking economic pressure would force negotiations. They found out that human freighters were built with armor plating and point defense systems that most species reserved for warships. When the blockade turned violent, the unarmed cargo ships fought back with a ferocity that stunned everyone. The fourth species to test humanity was the Lorathi Federation, and they tried something different. They attacked with overwhelming numbers, sending 200 ships against a small human outpost. They believed that no amount of technology could overcome pure numerical advantage. They were wrong. The human defenders used tactics that seemed impossible. They fought in rotating shifts, with each human able to stay combat effective for hours longer than any other species. They used the terrain, luring Lorathi ships into asteroid fields and nebulas where human sensors worked better. They targeted not just ships but morale, broadcasting constant messages about how many Lorathi lives were being wasted. When the Lorathi finally retreated, they had lost 73 ships. The human outpost had lost 2 satellites and 1 fighter. The human commander, General Haywan Bayek, sent the surviving Lorathi ships home with a message. Go tell your people what you saw here. Tell them that every human outpost, every colony, every station is defended by people who evolved on a world that tried to kill them every day. Tell them we learned to fight by fighting our own planet. Tell them that when we're being nice, we're the friendliest species you'll ever meet. And tell them what happens when we stop being nice. Back on Luna, Admiral Sang Hee compiled all the reports. In 6 months, humanity had fought 7 separate engagements. They had faced over 400 enemy ships. Human losses totaled 3 fighters, 1 patrol boat, and 47 personnel. Enemy losses were catastrophic. The numbers don't make sense, her operations officer said. We shouldn't be winning this easily. The coalition of concerned species formed 8 months after humanity's withdrawal. 47 different species came together with one goal: restore order and convince the humans to return to the galactic community. They sent their message with careful diplomatic language, requesting a meeting to discuss mutual concerns. Ambassador Ji-Woo Park agreed to meet them on a neutral station. She brought Captain Dae-Won Kim and a new face, Dr. Yuna Kang, who had spent the last month studying something that terrified the coalition more than human weapons. The meeting room was carefully designed to accommodate many different species. The coalition representatives sat on one side, a mixture of beings from methane breathers to crystalline intelligences. On the human side, just 3 people sat calmly. A Korlathi diplomat spoke first, carefully avoiding High Arbiter Velen's name. Ambassador Park, we appreciate you agreeing to this meeting. The recent military actions have concerned many species. You mean the times when others attacked us and we defended ourselves? Ji-Woo asked pleasantly. The level of force used seems excessive. Does it? Ji-Woo turned to Dae-Won. Captain, what were our rules of engagement in those incidents? Minimum necessary force to ensure the safety of human personnel and assets, Dae-Won replied. Standard defensive protocols, a crystalline being pulsed with confused colors. But you destroyed entire fleets. You annihilated ships that attacked you. Yes, Ji-Woo said simply. That's what defending ourselves means. Did you expect us to let people attack us without consequences? We expected measured responses, a Thelian representative said. Proportional force. The galactic norm is to disable attacking ships, not destroy them. Dr. Yuna Kang leaned forward, and her smile was genuinely friendly. That's because most of you don't understand what proportional means to a species from a death world. May I explain? The coalition members looked at each other nervously but agreed. Yuna pulled up a holographic display showing Earth. This is our homeworld. Let me tell you about it. The gravity is 1.2 times what most of you consider comfortable. The atmosphere contains enough oxygen to be toxic to 30% of galactic species. The oceans have salt concentrations that would kill most of you in minutes. The temperature variations range from hot enough to denature proteins to cold enough to freeze carbon dioxide. She zoomed in to show various ecosystems. These are just some of the things that live on Earth with us. This is a shark, an ocean predator that has remained essentially unchanged for 400 million years because it's already perfect at killing. This is a polar bear which can smell prey from 20 miles away and has no natural predators. This is a box jellyfish whose venom can kill most Earth life in minutes. This is a mosquito, which kills more humans every year than any other animal on Earth. The coalition members watched in growing horror as she showed image after image. This is a crocodile, which can wait motionless for hours before attacking. This is a snake that can inject enough venom to kill 100 people. This is a spider that most humans consider pretty small. And these are the things we learn to live with, hunt, and in many cases, domesticate. A Vryn representative spoke up, her voice shaking. How did your species survive? By being more dangerous than everything that tried to kill us, Una said cheerfully. By developing intelligence, tool use, and cooperation. By becoming pursuit predators who can track prey for days. By developing thrown weapons before we even developed agriculture. By learning to kill things much bigger and stronger than us. She pulled up another image. This is a human child's toy. It showed a playground with equipment that made several species gasp. We teach our children to climb, fall, and get back up. We teach them that pain is information, not a reason to stop. We let them play games where they chase each other, tackle each other, and learn about competition and resilience. That's barbaric, someone whispered. That's survival, Una corrected. And here's what you need to understand. Every human military officer has survived 18 years on that world. They've dealt with gravity that makes you stronger. They've dealt with injuries that taught them to keep fighting. They've dealt with a star that gives off radiation strong enough to damage DNA. Every single day of a human childhood is combat training by your standards. Daewon took over the presentation. You asked about proportional force. Let me explain human military doctrine. When we're threatened, we assess the threat level and respond accordingly. A Vryn fleet of 40 ships attacking a mining colony wasn't a threat. It was a nuisance. We responded with a single patrol ship because that's all it took. A single ship destroyed 40. The Korlathi said weakly. Yes, because your ships are designed with safety considerations that limit their effectiveness. Your pilots black out at 4 gravities. Ours train at 7 and can survive 12. Your ships have redundant systems to prevent dangerous maneuvers. Our ships have redundant systems to keep fighting after we've taken critical damage. You build for peace and convert for war. We build for war and hope for peace. Jiwoo stood up and walked to the display. Let me tell you what happened after the council voted against us. We went home and looked at our capabilities honestly. We had been holding back because we wanted to be part of your community. We limited our ship speed so we didn't make you nervous. We used weapons you could understand. We pretended our soldiers had the same limitations as yours. She changed the display to show human ships. These are our real capabilities. Our ships can accelerate at forces that would turn most of you into liquid. Our weapons use physics that some of you haven't discovered yet. Our soldiers can fight in environments that would kill you in seconds. Why tell us this? Athelian asked. Because you need to understand what you're dealing with, Jiwoo said. We're not trying to intimidate you. We're trying to educate you. The species who attacked us thought we were weak because we were being polite. They learned differently. We don't want others to make the same mistake. The coalition members sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, the Korlathi spoke. What do you want from us? We want what we always wanted, Jiwoo said. Respect, autonomy, the right to exist without supervision or interference. The council tried to take our territory and our freedom because they thought we were too dangerous. They were right about the dangerous part. They were wrong in thinking they could control it. The council acted out of fear, a crystalline being said. Then they should have been honest about it, Jiwoo replied. If they had come to us and said, we're afraid of you, help us understand you, we would have worked with them. Instead, they tried to take what was ours without asking. That's not fear. That's arrogance. Over the next hours, they discussed terms. The coalition wanted humanity to return to the galactic community. Jiwoo laid out conditions. Human territory would be respected absolutely. No oversight, no supervision, no council votes about human affairs without human consent. Any attack on human assets would be considered an act of war. Any attempt to limit human military capabilities would result in immediate withdrawal of all cooperation. These terms are harsh, the Korlathi said. These terms are fair, Jiwoo corrected. You get to decide what happens in your space. We get to decide what happens in ours. The difference is we're not trying to vote about what you can do with your colonies. After the coalition left, Daewon looked at Jiwoo. Do you think they'll agree? Some of them will. Others will need more convincing. She pulled up a report. General Haiwan is conducting training exercises near the Thelian border. I've asked her to make them very visible. On the border, General Haiwan Baek was indeed conducting exercises. Her ground forces were demonstrating capabilities that most species didn't even know existed. Human soldiers training in 2.5 gravity environments. Human Marines conducting boarding actions in hard vacuum with minimal life support. Human special forces operating on a world with toxic atmosphere and no food sources for 3 weeks straight. Every exercise was monitored by observers from nearby species. Every demonstration was designed to make a point. Humans didn't just survive harsh conditions, they thrived in them. An observer from the Lorathi Federation watched a squad of human soldiers training in an environment that simulated their own homeworld. The Lorathi evolved in dense jungles with high humidity and dangerous predators. It was considered one of the more challenging environments in the galaxy. The human soldiers moved through it like it was a pleasant walk. They adapted to the terrain instantly. They tracked simulated enemies using skills that seemed almost supernatural. They worked as a team with a coordination that suggested telepathy. How are they doing this? The Lorathi observer asked. General Haiwan smiled. This is similar to Earth's Amazon rainforest. We've been training in environments like this for thousands of years. Your world is challenging for most species. For us, it's familiar. She pulled up images of Earth's various ecosystems. We have deserts that don't see rain for decades. We have tundra where exposed skin freezes in seconds. We have jungles where everything is trying to eat you. We have mountains where the air is too thin to breathe. And humans live in all of them. We don't just visit these places. We build cities there. 20 cycles had passed since the day the Galactic Council tried to take human territory. An entire generation of aliens had grown up in a very different galaxy than their parents had known. The Galactic Assembly Hall looked much the same as it had 2 decades before. But everything else had changed. The Council still existed, but it operated under new rules. Rules that humanity had insisted on, and that every species had eventually agreed to. Elder statesman Daewon Kim walked through the hall, his hair now gray but his posture still military straight. He was old by human standards, but humans lived longer than most species realized. He had become something of a legend, the man who had stared down the entire galaxy and refused to blink. Aliens stepped aside as he passed, not out of fear exactly, but out of respect. Deep, careful respect. Ambassador Minsu Han waited for him at the human delegation area. Minsu was young, part of the generation that had grown up during the withdrawal. He had never known a time when humans were treated as junior members of the galactic community. He only knew a galaxy that was very, very careful around humans. Elder Kim, Minsu said, bowing slightly. The session is about to begin. How are you feeling? Daewon asked. First day as primary ambassador. Nervous, Minsu admitted. I've studied all the protocols. I know the procedures, but actually representing humanity. Just remember what we taught you, Daewon said. Be polite. Be professional. Be friendly even. But never forget what happens if someone mistakes kindness for weakness. The session began with the usual formalities. High Arbiter Veln had been replaced long ago by a Thelian named Korthan, who understood the new reality much better than his predecessor. The agenda covered trade disputes, resource allocation, and scientific cooperation, all routine matters, all handled with careful attention to sovereignty. Then came the moment that had called Daewon out of retirement. A new species was joining the Galactic Assembly. The Richthan were a powerful species from the far arm of the galaxy. They had impressive ships, advanced technology, and a confident attitude that reminded Daewon of someone else a long time ago. The Richthan ambassador stood to address the assembly. His name was Theron, and he spoke with the assurance of someone representing a major power. We are pleased to join this assembly, Theron said. The Richthan Collective brings significant resources and capabilities. We expect to take our rightful place among the leadership species. Around the hall, older species shifted uncomfortably. A few looked toward the human delegation. Chancellor Jiwoo Park, now Earth's senior leader, sat next to Min-Soo. She was older too, but still sharp. She caught Daewon's eye and gave the smallest shake of her head. Not yet. Let them continue. We have reviewed the current territorial arrangements, Theron continued. Some adjustments will be necessary to accommodate our needs. We will be presenting proposals for resource redistribution in the next session. More uncomfortable shifting. The Richthen was making demands before even formally joining. It was bold. It was arrogant. It was familiar. We also note, Theron said, that some species maintain military forces beyond what seems necessary for peaceful coexistence. We propose limits on fleet sizes and weapons development to ensure galactic stability. Now several species were staring openly at the humans. The Richthen hadn't named anyone specifically, but everyone knew who had the most advanced military in known space. Ambassador Min-Soo stood up, and the hall went very quiet. Ambassador Theron, welcome to the Galactic Assembly. I'm Min-Soo Han, representing humanity. I hope you'll find our community welcoming and productive. Theron nodded, his posture suggesting he expected this welcome. Thank you. I look forward to working with all species, including yours. I'm sure, Min-Soo said pleasantly. Before we continue, though, I wonder if anyone has briefed you on assembly history, specifically the events of 20 cycles ago. I've reviewed the basic records, Theron said dismissively. A minor dispute that was resolved. An old Korlathi in the back of the hall made a sound that might have been a laugh or a sob. Min-Soo smiled, and it was a warm, friendly smile. Perhaps not as minor as the records suggest. You see, 20 cycles ago, this assembly voted to take territory from humanity without our consent. They also demanded we surrender a significant portion of our military fleet. And you refused? Theron asked. Oh, we did more than refuse, Min-Soo said. We withdrew from galactic society completely. We took every human out of alien space. We stopped all trade. We watched while infrastructure failed and supply chains collapsed. And when several species tried to take what they wanted by force, we taught them a lesson about the difference between restraint and capability. Theron's posture shifted slightly. I see, and this is meant to be a warning? It's meant to be education, Min-Soo corrected. You mentioned adjusting territorial arrangements and limiting military forces. These are decisions that affect every species. Under the reformed assembly rules, no such votes can happen without the explicit consent of affected parties. Those rules seem designed to benefit powerful species. Theron noted. Those rules are designed to prevent anyone from having their sovereignty stolen by majority vote. Min-Soo said, his pleasant tone never changing. They exist because humanity insisted on them. Many species initially objected. They all came around eventually. A Lorathi delegate stood up. Ambassador Theron, if I may. I was here 20 cycles ago. I watched what happened. Perhaps I could share some perspective. Theron gestured for him to continue. My species tried to force humanity into compliance, the Lorathi said quietly. We sent 200 ships against one of their small outposts. We lost 73 ships. They lost 2 satellites and 1 fighter. We learned that day that humans had been being very, very nice to us. We learned what happens when they stop. Athelian added her voice. We tried to blockade human trade routes. Their cargo ships fought back. Cargo ships. We learned that humans don't really have civilian vessels the way we do. Everything they build can fight if it needs to. Theron was starting to look less confident. Surely this is exaggeration. Daewon stood up slowly. The hall went completely silent. Even species with no vocal cords stopped making sounds. Ambassador Theron, Daewon said, his old voice still carrying command presence. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Daewon Kim. I was Earth's military attaché when the Council tried to take our territory. I was the one who helped coordinate our withdrawal. I was the one who sent messages to the galaxy explaining what they had lost. He walked slowly toward the center of the hall. You asked if this is a warning. Let me be very clear. This is not a warning. This is a history lesson. 20 cycles ago, your predecessors in this hall made a choice. They looked at humanity and saw a young species from a dangerous world. They decided we needed supervision. They decided we were too primitive, too aggressive, too different. And you proved them wrong, Theron said. No, Daewon corrected. We proved them right. We are dangerous. We are aggressive when threatened. We are very different from most species here. What they got wrong was thinking they could control that danger, that aggression, that difference. He gestured around the hall. Every species here has learned the same lesson. Humans are the friendliest species you will ever meet. We'll trade with anyone. We'll share technology. We'll help with disasters and diseases. We'll negotiate endlessly to find peaceful solutions. But, the word hung in the air, if you mistake that friendliness for weakness, if you try to take what's ours, if you threaten what we've built, you will discover why Earth is classified as a death world. You'll learn that we smile and laugh and make friends while carrying reflexes designed to hunt megafauna. You'll find out that our ships can pull maneuvers that would kill most of you. You'll understand that every human has been training for combat since birth, just by surviving on our world. This sounds like a threat, Theron said, but his voice was uncertain now. It's not a threat, Day One said tiredly. I'm too old for threats. This is me telling you how things are. We don't want to fight. We don't want to intimidate anyone. We just want to be left alone to build our civilization in peace. But we learned 20 cycles ago that asking nicely isn't always enough. So now everyone knows what happens if they push too hard. Chancellor Jiwoo stood up. The Reformed Assembly operates on a simple principle. Every species has the right to self-determination. No one gets voted against without their consent. No one has their territory taken without agreement. No one has their military limited without their participation in the decision. These rules protect everyone, not just humanity. But humans could leave at any time, Theron observed. Nothing holds you here. That's true, Jiwoo agreed. We could leave. We could withdraw like we did before. And you know what would happen? Medical systems would start failing. Manufacturing would slow down. Technology that depends on human innovation would stagnate. We're woven into galactic society now, but we're woven in as equals, not as supervised children. She walked over to stand next to Day One. You're new here, Ambassador Theron. You don't know the history, not really. So let me tell you what every other species here has learned. Humans will be the best friends you ever have. We'll stand by our allies, absolutely.